All right. Any thoughts on any of that? All the you're enough, you're not in position of burden, make no apologies, your values from your values, the abundance mindset, abundance from your future, and the idea of state. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah. I feel like I used to get kind of I feel like I'm in state now, and then I kind of stopped thinking about state, and when I went out, I'd go out and be like, oh, I feel good now, whatever. I'm not trying not think about how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I am in state now, I don't really realize it.
That's good.
I don't even know if I get in state anymore.
That's good too.
And I heard in one of your videos though, where you were saying something about and you said it now too, how when you're in state, you'll do something that's way above your normal level.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm having the shitty night, or I'm not feeling great that night, I'm not super on that night, is that the normal level that I'm at? Or can I get I'll get down on myself, if I have a bad night, I'll be like, damn, the only reason I do good on other nights is because I'm in state, or whatever, or because I feel better. I forgot about that.
Don't judge, right? Don't judge, I'm in state, I'm not in state, I'm good, I'm bad. Just be the best you can in every given moment and take the right action. That's all you can do moment to moment, right? Even in sports is a good area for state and flow and being in the zone, that kind of stuff. But an athlete can't think himself into the zone. He kind of has to act himself into the zone. There are things you can do. For example, a free throw shooter has a little pre-shot routine, flip it twice, dribble twice, take a breath, and then go, right? That can help. It can help that muscle memory of getting there. There are things like that. But if they're doing it because they're this will get my head right, this will get my head right, oh, don't think the wrong thoughts, while doing that action, it still won't work, right? You just have to take the action for its own sake. Yeah. Okay, and that will usually work. If I ever find a way to think yourself into state, I'll let you know. But I actually think it's literally impossible.
Alcohol.
That's unthinking your way into state, maybe. Yeah.
So just kind of going back to, you were talking about the guy who's the self-entitled since he was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea of you are enough,
Mm-hmm.
And compared to the guys that he was, the instructors or whatever he was with. So how do you, I guess for a lot of guys who are in here who don't come from that, that point, they didn't come from that background in their life, those are not their references, and you move that along and you get better and better. But I know I've noticed even in myself, as I've become more, I guess, of a man, I've become more valuable. I still have those lingering, moments from my past where I don't feel as entitled, or I'll see a really, really fucking hot girl and we're talking, she's like, oh my gosh, you're so attractive, and I'm just like damn, it's some of it's well, what's wrong with her, or, just changing those things. How do you sort of kind of move more in that direction of, yes, I am the shit?
Sure. So there's two answers I'll give to that. One is the idea of just creating an upward spiral, which is I have two words. Let's say I have competence and confidence. And so let's say you learn a new pickup technique and you go out and that makes you more competent. And so then your results get a little bit better. Right, so your results get a little bit better. And that makes you more confident, right? And then that confidence feeds back and makes your results a little bit better as well, right? And maybe, possibly, because your results are a little bit better, you do something new, some new technique, and now you learn that technique and that made you even better, creates more confidence, and it cycles. And at some point it may kind of peter out, that particular cycle, but it's increased you overall, right? And so the idea is to create these sort of upward cycles where you're just getting better and better and better, right? And if your feedback is making you better, and then your feedback from that feedback is making you better, you're gonna get good pretty fast. So that's one really good part of getting good. The other really interesting thing though that I would say to you, so you want the combination of competence and confidence, right? Learning new techniques helps, getting more confident helps, and you want to keep going back and forth and having a balance of both. You don't want to be all confidence and no technique, or all technique and no confidence. So have a balance and let that sort of positive feedback loop work for you. The other thing I'm going to say, though, is this. Don't judge it. And what I mean by that is if you're constantly worried about how well you're doing moment to moment, you're going to do worse moment to moment. Right? There was a friend of mine, this dumb phrase he used to say to me when I was doing pickup. But he just followed me around when I was like in a bad mood. He'd be like, hey, I used to know this guy named Todd, and this guy didn't give a fuck. Like, he didn't give a fuck. But then one time, this one thing happened, and he almost gave a fuck. And then he's like, nah, I just don't give a fuck. And then guess what? He just didn't give a fuck, right? And he'd say this thing to me, is this dumb thing he'd say. But the idea is really good, which is everybody's gonna have that moment. No matter how much they're in their own reality, no matter how much they don't give a fuck, no matter how cool they are, they will have that moment of self-doubt. And if in that moment of self-doubt they let it linger and they get worried about it and they let it grow, then they created actually a negative loop, right? Lack of confidence leads to lack of competence, leads to a bad set, leads to a bad result, leads to lack of confidence, and they create a negative. So the key is, one, create these positive upward spirals, but then when you notice that downward spiral, when you notice something getting negative, instead of ruminating in it and letting it keep going, just cut it, right? That moment when you gave a fuck, but then you're like, nah, I just don't give a fuck. And you just cut it and go on with the next right action. So when you notice that spiral, just don't get bogged down in it. Just cut it off. If you have to, take a break and come back to the club in a little bit. Just don't let it continue to linger. Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to get into each of these categories later,
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe I should wait till a later time, but I was going to ask about value. I consider it one of my biggest problems, excluding like on a signals, things like what you're wearing and conveying value, like especially immediately when you meet somebody that does a lot of cold approaches, and then you get 5 minutes to show value. What is the best way you find of going about this other than?
So basically, what's the best way? What's the best way to show value on a cold approach?
Hey girl, I know people. Hey girl,
It's actually the next slide, so we'll get there.
No worries.
The next slide, it's the outer game stuff. So that's actually the next slide once we're done with inner game. So
No worries.
coming soon.
No worries.
Any other stuff on inner game stuff though? Any of the stuff we talked about? If it's confusing at all, cool. So everybody has perfect inner game now.
Totally.
Nice. Good. All right.
I guess could you sort of share some of, because I know you talked about some of the drills that you do to help facilitate inner game. I feel like inner game is so important.
Sure. Off the top of my head, one drill is 6 steps, right? Open all, minimize time between interactions, don't judge it, find something fun or funny in every interaction, short and sweet at first, burn it to the ground later. So you just do that as a procedure for your night. That's actually a really good inner game exercise. If you do it because you're like, I'll do 6 steps to get in state, guess what? You'll never get in state. But if you do, I'll do 6 steps because it's a challenge for myself and it's growth for me to do a lot of sets and just get tons of experience, and you can actually adopt that mindset, then suddenly halfway through the night, you'll find yourself in state. Right? It's actually, here's my ironic 6 steps experience. The few times I ever go out and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking do 6 steps, I'm just gonna do it. So I'm like, I'm gonna approach like 50 girls tonight, I don't give a fuck, right? Almost every single time I do that, I pull within the first 3 sets, right? Now you would think, fuck, okay, well that's your method. If you want to pull, just go do 6 steps. But if I'm like, I want to pull tonight, let me do 6 steps, then I have like the most frustrating night of my entire life, like chasing state, trying to pull, and doing this this mechanism that's designed to make it fun and less outcome dependent. In an outcome dependent way, it's like the worst night ever. So the key is you have to actually get rid of the outcome. You have to actually do it for its own sake as opposed to do it to make it work. So that's the 6 steps, that's pretty good. In terms of changing your outlook or changing your mentality, go in and try and fail. Go in and just try and say like the funniest thing you possibly can. Like instead of trying to say what's good game, say whatever you most actually think is amusing and want to say. Not what will get you laid, but what would make you laugh, right? That's a good one for just like general state. So that's pretty good. Another one is what I personally like to do, because I'm very technical. I like to choose a particular technique, which I'm gonna talk to you guys about techniques in a second. But like for example, today I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna do maximum flirtation. I'm not even gonna try and take the girl home. I'm just gonna tease her the absolute maximum I possibly can and just try and enjoy that process. I'm not trying to get an outcome, I'm not trying to sleep with her, I'm just trying to tease like crazy. And then what'll end up happening by accident is that I'll tease some girl and she'll just really like it and we'll have a good vibe, and then all of a sudden I'll find like 20 minutes later we're home and my penis is inside of her. Like, oh shit, how'd that happen? I wasn't even trying to get laid tonight. I was just practicing a drill. Right? So it's kind of weird how that happens.
How to like keep another girl.
That's next. Next slide, outer game, yes.
You have a video where you where you're in a boxing rink and you said you took Cialis for a month. And you're like, fuck not having outcome dependence. Like, be fucking outcome dependent.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So I was also wondering, like, that was the one time where I was questioning, like,
Should I be outcome dependent?
Be outcome dependent for the right outcome. Not for the outcome of, like, get the girl or make her like you. Be outcome dependent for one of these. Like, be outcome dependent for being, like, saying the most amazing shit you can. And if she likes it, great. If she doesn't, who the fuck cares? Because you can't control her.
yeah.
You can't control anyone but yourself. But what you can do is make your outcome being the most amazing you can be.
Okay,
Make sense?
it does.
Taking Cialis every day for a month do anything to your health?
There's a reason why. Let's say there's a reason why I don't do it now. How about that?
Levels were up the roof.
Yeah.
Do you find your nights are still roller coaster-like emotionally? Like when a girl really likes you, do you still feel the like happiness swell? And when she doesn't like you, you still feel the dips?
Not nearly as intensely.
Okay.
Like maybe 1/50th or 1/100th as intensely as like typical guys would.
Okay.
Because I'm very used to all of it at this point. The highs it's actually kind of good because the highs I still feel a lot the same, but the lows I really just don't.
Okay.
Like it's kind of like there's just a cap on the low.
So for you, when you're going into state, do you still get that off of good reactions, good emotions, or do you feel?
It depends. I'll say this is kind of like silly and dorky or whatever, but I don't even know if I can do it right now. But there's this little like Todd like happy dance thing that I do sometimes when I'm in state. I'm just like in the club and just like, okay, let's go guys. Right? I'm just happy. I'm just like animated and there. And sometimes I just go into the club and I already feel that way.
Right.
Sometimes some really good set happens and then I feel that way. Sometimes, surprisingly enough, a really bad set happens and then like I just have some adrenaline, feel it flowing and I feel that way. So it can be from a variety of different things. But I forgot part of the question, but essentially like there are a lot of different triggers for it. It's not necessarily any one thing and it's not necessarily any one predictable way, but I find that when my process is right and my ideas of what I'm gonna do are right, it tends to happen a lot.
Okay. I guess the reason I'm asking is my nights are still very roller coaster-like. So like very riding the wave of like a positive interaction. But if I have a bad one, it's just, terrible nights. So did you train yourself to just harden up and just?
I just got desensitized.
Okay.
I did it so much that I just don't feel it as much. It's like an alcoholic, right? If I don't drink very often. I drink occasionally with girls like on dates and stuff like that, but I don't drink a lot. So I drink and I feel it pretty quickly, right? A true alcoholic, like they have to drink a whole lot of alcohol to really feel it, okay? I'm sort of like a social pressure alcoholic, if you will. Like I've felt so much social pressure in my lifetime over the last 15 years, and I continue to feel it on an ongoing basis so regularly that I probably still have those chemicals in my body, just my body's just very adapted to them and they don't affect me. Okay. And actually it's a tool in game, because in that moment where you and the girl are talking and you're nervous and she's nervous, I'm less nervous than she is. So I can just hold that eye contact calmly and she feels that social pressure and she'll like cut the silence and talk first, right? So for example, say a girl gives me a shit test, or she gives me a shit test and like stares me in the eyes to see my reaction. I just look at her like, cool. And then she feels that social awkwardness more than me, and then she breaks the silence, and so shit test passed. Does that make sense? So the very fact that I don't feel it as much actually has become a tool in game, because I'm actually less reactive, I actually don't feel those chemicals, right? But I still have them, I'm sure I still do, it's just I'm desensitized to them. So that happens over time. In the meantime, I would say enjoy it. Here's an interesting philosophy as well. So say that you are on an airplane, and that airplane starts experiencing severe turbulence, okay? What do a lot of people do? They get like terrified, right? They get scared. You know what I do? No, I get happy. I'm like, that's awesome. This is fun. This is cool. Like people pay for this kind of shit. Like you go to a theme park, you pay for this shit, right? And here's why. I can't control the plane. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, right? I may as well be like, well, at least the pilot's giving me a ride, right? It's a different frame. But and obviously if I was a pilot and I could do something about it and I was worried, I'd fucking get in the cockpit or do something about it. But as long as I can't control it, as long as I have no control over the outcome, I may as well just enjoy it. I may as well just like it. And so what I did actually, either consciously or unconsciously, I'm not really sure, back in the day, is I just got excited about doing approaches. that feeling of nervousness and like social pressure and anxiety, I just learned to love it. Because I knew it was a good thing. I knew I was gonna make myself do it. I made a rule for myself that every time I see a hot girl, I have to go. So there wasn't a choice. So I'm gonna feel that feeling, I may as well enjoy it. And I started to really like it. And here's the funny, ironic thing. Because I don't feel a lot of approach anxiety now, pickup is actually less fun for me than it used to be. Because I got so used to that feeling of approach anxiety, and I liked it so much that now when I don't have it as much, pickup's kind of like, it's more boring. So I'm not actually envious of you, but in a way I am. In that sense, I actually am a little bit like, I wish I had that fucking approach anxiety back. And that's crazy, but it's interesting reframe.
Quick question
Yeah.
to add to, sorry. So one quick question to add to the rejection
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. Like I find, like many others, like rejection ends up becoming funny stories later. You know, it's not
For sure.
It's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But what about girls that you had a little bit more investment with? You know, or that maybe not girlfriends, but then
Mm-hmm.
ones you're like, oh, I really dug that chick. You know, you still find yourself like sometimes when something goes wrong or there's a miscommunication or something happens, still being invested and still feeling like going, you know, like fuck, and then trying to fix it, and then, I mean, it's never get a chase. I'm learning not to get caught up in my one-itis, but that's like one of my things. But
So in one sentence, where are you going with this? I get the situation you're describing. What's the question?
I ask your experience with that too. If you still have trouble with that, you get caught up.
Do I still have it? Yeah, sometimes less so. It's just, again, it's happened so many times. It's happened so many times that girl that I'm like, this is like, she's so amazing, it's so good, it's so on, and then it's happened, I don't know, hundreds of times now. So I'm used to it. I'm used to it. It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't, because I know there will be another one. Like next week or next month or 2 weeks from now or whatever, there will be another one that I'll probably be like, this one's the most amazing one ever, or this one's the, you know what I mean? So, and here's the funny thing. It's something my assistant said the other day. He's like, there's nothing to make you care less about the girls in your phone than going out and getting new phone numbers, right? Like there was this girl I was so obsessed with, and then I got 3 new numbers today, and like, I don't even want to text her anymore. I want to text the new ones, right? And so when you do have that abundance and you have, you know, quality girls coming through the funnel, it's a lot easier to just not worry so much about that one other quality girl, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, as far as like those chemicals and everything,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for me personally, I experienced those very, very little.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the hinge that I would say that kind of holds me back is I feel like the idea of sort of being embarrassed or looking stupid to me feels like different than, like, I don't actually, like, if I would go approach a girl, like, even if it's intimidating, I don't really feel that.
Okay.
But before I do it in my mind, I'm like, man, what if I look stupid and they're all looking at me like really awkwardly? Then it's just like, for some reason, I
So you get nervous about that, about the social aspect?
Sure.
So does that mean you have, like, if a girl's just on a street corner by herself, you'd have no problem, it's only with other people around?
It depends too. It depends, you know. But it's like I've noticed, just like sometimes I'll see a girl on the street and I'm like, boom, right there. Sometimes I'll see a group and I'll be like, boom, right there. But it's just like the thing that will stop me from taking the action is, okay, in that moment, it's like, man, if this doesn't go right,
Yeah.
I'm not like a fucking fool in front
Cool.
of all these people.
Cool. Well, first of all, it's good that you understand that. Like recognizing the things you find difficult is going to help you, right? Because then when it happens, you can be like, oh, that's that thing that I know happens, right? So I know that's not a real thing. It's just like a pattern that I have. It's a behavior that I have. So that's part of it. The second one is, what I would do with that is I would say, okay, so I know that I'm more nervous in a tough group situation or a social situation or a situation where I might feel uncomfortable. So what I would do is I would actually challenge myself. I'd be like, because I know this about myself, the best way for me to grow is when I see those circumstances that make me particularly nervous, I have to especially do those, right? So just change your focus to, oh good, here's another opportunity for me to practice. I've been waiting all day for this one so I can get better, right? It's like, let's say you're playing baseball and you're like taking batting practice or whatever, right? And you're like, you know, you're hitting against some particular pitcher that you're pretty used to. Now all of a sudden you have a chance to take some pitches against a major league pitcher, right? That should be exciting. Like, cool, I get to take pitches against a big leaguer. This is a unique opportunity that I get to get. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh shit, this guy throws 90 miles an hour. I'm so scared, I'm gonna mess up, right? Instead, look at it as, okay, cool, big leagues. This is my chance to improve. This is my chance to grow, right? So it's all about how you frame it in your head, right? I'll give you another another example. This is another sports example, actually. It's just one that I remember from high school soccer very strongly. So I was never like most like physical beast on the soccer field. I was like the technical, skillful guy, which you guys can probably imagine from my pickup style. But there was this one situation where the goalkeeper sent out this long ball to like my general area of the field, and I had to bring it down under pressure, and it was like, it wasn't a situation that my skill set was very attuned to, and it was kind of one of those situations where I was gonna have to like sacrifice my body a little bit, but it's a good situation from a technical, tactical standpoint. So as I ran over, like as I saw the ball go up, I'm like, oh shit. Like, and then I ran over and did the best I could with it. And then my coach, after I came out of it, he's like, that's not an oh shit ball, that's the ball we want, right? That's not an oh shit ball, right? It's a challenge, but it's the right challenge. It's the right thing. That's what we want as a team, that's what we want from you as a player, right? Same kind of thing, right? If that's where you're challenged, if that's your opportunity to grow, instead of being like, oh shit, I'm nervous, be like, perfect, I found my opportunity to grow. And in fact, in a certain sense, if you go out in a particular night and you don't find those opportunities, you'd be like, shit, I didn't find any of those really tough ones tonight. It's a bummer, I could have learned more. See that change in mentality kind of changes everything? Yeah.
I've had, I think we've all had that experience, but I was curious to know, even if it like doesn't go as you expected, the fact that you kind of like took it head on should be like good enough reason to just, even if you like fuck it up. Again,
draw your approval or disapproval of yourself from your actions, not from the results. All right. Does anybody here play poker? Nobody? Not really? Okay. Well, I'll tell you guys, this is the last little metaphor before we get on with it. Poker, for me, is a great metaphor for game in life. Because in poker, you can play a hand completely perfectly and lose the absolute maximum. Right? So if you have the best hand the whole way, you create this incredible, huge, giant pot, and the wrong card comes on the end, and you lose that entire pot that you built, you still played the hand properly. You still should be really, really happy because you had a 99% chance of winning that big pot. Wrong card came, you lost, oh well, right? But you should, at the end of that pot, be very pleased with yourself. Similarly, if you played the hand badly and created this big pot with the worst hand and then got lucky at the end, even as you're raking in, thousands of dollars worth of chips even possibly, you should be like, fuck, I played that so badly. You should be mad at yourself, okay? Because the actual determinant of long-term success isn't that you got that lucky card or didn't. It's not whether you're winning that one particular pot. It's did I take the right action? Did I do the right things? Right? And that's what it is in game. If you do the absolute right things, you approach a girl the best you can, and she's married or her boyfriend comes in or she just is going through a weird time in her life or she's just a total bitch and rejects you regardless of good game, fine, be happy with it. But when you bitch out or are weak or don't step up or you do an approach and like are miscalibrated in a way that you should know better than, that's when you should be angry at yourself, even if you eventually get a good result out of it. Does that make sense? Right? So always judge yourself based on the things you can change rather than based on the things you can't.